Today, we're diving into one of music's most fascinating friendship implosions, the story behind neo-soul duo Floetry's dramatic rise and even more dramatic fall. When Marsha Ambrosius and Natalie Stewart burst onto the scene in the early 2000s with hits like Say Yes and Getting Late, they seemed inseparable childhood friends from London who had created a perfect artistic marriage of spoken word poetry and soulful vocals. But behind that harmonious facade was a relationship deteriorating in real time, eventually collapsing under the weight of jealousy, betrayal, and what Marsha herself described as a dangerous relationship that had her fearing for her friend's safety. The fallout was so severe that despite multiple Grammy nominations and gold-certified success, these former best friends now refuse to even speak to each other. What makes this story particularly intriguing are the whispers that circulated throughout Philadelphia's tight-knit neo-soul community during Floetry's peak years. Jill Scott, who came up alongside them in Philly's legendary Black Lily showcase, once cryptically mentioned in a 2018 interview that success reveals what friendship conceals, leading many to speculate she was referencing the Floetry situation she witnessed firsthand. Meanwhile, Questlove, who was deeply connected to the scene, hinted on his podcast that certain creative partnerships from that era were more business arrangements than genuine friendships, though he carefully avoided naming names. Industry insiders have long suggested that the seeds of discord were planted early, with Marsha's exceptional vocal talents attracting attention from producers who saw her as the more marketable half of the duo. A former DreamWorks executive reportedly admitted at an industry panel that there were separate conversations happening about Marsha's potential solo career, even while Floetry was being actively promoted as a unit, a common but problematic label strategy that has destroyed countless groups. Perhaps most telling was what happened during their brief 2015 reunion tour. Sources close to the production claim that tension was so thick backstage that crew members were instructed never to leave the women alone together. One tour dancer allegedly witnessed a heated argument where years of unresolved resentment spilled out, with accusations of sabotage and betrayal flying from both sides. Today, we're unpacking the complete story of how two childhood friends created musical magic together, then watched their relationship disintegrate in spectacular fashion, from their humble beginnings shooting hoops in London, to the voice messages and pregnancy drama that finally shattered their partnership beyond repair. Before they became Floetry, Marsha Ambrosius and Natalie Stewart were just two talented friends growing up in London with big dreams. Their connection began in the 1990s through basketball of all things. Both were skilled players who competed against each other before realizing they shared another passion: music. This sports background is something many fans don't realize shaped their early relationship, creating a foundation of healthy competition that would later translate into their creative process. Marsha, who would become known as the songstress, possessed a remarkable vocal ability that could shift from delicate vulnerability to powerful emotion in a single phrase. Her background in classical piano training gave her a sophisticated understanding of melody and harmony that would become central to Floetry's sound. Natalie, who would adopt the moniker the Flowcist, brought a poet's sensibility to the partnership, with a gift for crafting vivid imagery and thoughtful commentary through her spoken word delivery. What made their partnership particularly special was how their talents complemented each other rather than competed. In a music industry often focused on solo stars, Floetry represented a true artistic collaboration where the whole exceeded the sum of its parts. Marsha's soaring vocals provided the emotional heart of their songs, while Natalie's spoken word elements added intellectual depth and narrative structure. The duo began their professional journey writing songs for other artists, crafting material for Michael Jackson, Jill Scott, and Glenn Lewis, among others. This behind-the-scenes work helped them develop their distinctive approach to songwriting while building valuable industry connections. Their composition Butterflies for Michael Jackson, which appeared on his Invincible album, represented a particularly significant achievement that helped establish their credibility as serious songwriters. In 1997, they officially formed Floetry and began performing around London's vibrant music scene. Their unique blend of neo-soul, R&B, and spoken word poetry quickly attracted attention, but they soon realized that to truly advance their careers, they would need to look beyond the UK. The American market, particularly Philadelphia, with its rich soul tradition and thriving neo-soul movement, seemed like the natural next step. Their relocation to Philadelphia proved transformative. The city's musical heritage and supportive creative community provided the perfect environment for Floetry to refine their sound and build a following. They became regulars at the legendary Black Lily Showcase, which served as an incubator for neo-soul talent and helped connect them with like-minded artists and industry figures. This period of artistic development culminated in a deal with DreamWorks Records, setting the stage for their debut album, Floetry, in 2002. The project perfectly captured their distinctive fusion of spoken word and soulful vocals, with production that balanced contemporary R&B elements with classic soul influences. Singles like Floetry, Say Yes, and Getting Late showcase different facets of their artistic vision while establishing them as a fresh voice in the increasingly popular neo-soul movement. What's particularly noteworthy about Floetry's early success is how they managed to achieve commercial viability without compromising their artistic integrity. At a time when R&B was often pushed toward more explicitly commercial directions, they maintained a sophisticated, poetic approach that resonated with audiences seeking substance along with style. This commitment to their unique vision would serve them well as they built their career, though the tensions between artistic authenticity and commercial expectations would eventually become a factor in their dissolution. Floetry's debut album, Floetry, exceeded expectations, achieving gold certification and earning multiple Grammy nominations. The project's success validated their artistic approach while establishing them as significant new voices in the neo-soul movement. Their follow-up, Floetry Live, a live album released in 2003, further showcased their impressive performance abilities and the dynamic chemistry they brought to the stage. By the time they released their second studio album, Flowology, in 2005, Floetry had secured their place in the contemporary R&B landscape. The project debuted at number 7 on the Billboard 200 and featured production from heavyweights like Raphael Saadiq, further cementing their credibility. On the surface, everything appeared to be progressing ideally for the duo. However, beneath this veneer of success, the relationship between Marsha and Natalie was beginning to show signs of strain. According to later interviews, several factors contributed to this growing tension. One significant issue was their different approaches to the music business. Natalie, as she would later explain, wanted to maintain what she saw as the integrity and essence of Floetry, while feeling pressure from management to cross over and pursue a more commercial direction. This fundamental disagreement about artistic direction created friction that extended beyond creative decisions into business matters. In what would prove to be a pivotal development, Natalie decided to fire their manager, a move that Marsha apparently disagreed with. This decision marked a turning point in their professional relationship, creating a division that would ultimately prove impossible to bridge. Another complicating factor was Marsha's growing profile as a songwriter and vocalist outside of Floetry. Her distinctive voice and songwriting abilities were increasingly in demand, creating opportunities that existed independently of the duo. While this external recognition was well-deserved, it potentially created an imbalance in the partnership that had previously been characterized by equality and mutual respect. Personal relationships outside the group also played a role in their deteriorating dynamic. According to Marsha, Natalie had become involved in what she described as a dangerous relationship that concerned her deeply. In interviews, Marsha has stated that she couldn't continue to watch her friend being treated terribly and potentially risking her well-being. This situation added an emotional dimension to their professional challenges, making it increasingly difficult to maintain the harmony that had once defined their partnership. The culmination of these tensions came in December 2006, when Floetry performed what would be their final show together in the UK. Natalie's boyfriend was present at this performance, and Marsha later revealed that she spent time crying in the bathroom, distressed by what she perceived as her friend's physical and emotional deterioration. Following the show, Marsha made the decision to walk away from Floetry, signing a solo deal with Aftermath Records. This abrupt separation shocked fans who had been unaware of the behind behind-the-scenes turmoil. From the outside, Floetry had appeared to be at the height of their powers, with a growing fan base and critical acclaim. The sudden dissolution of such a promising partnership raised questions about what had gone wrong between two childhood friends who had created such harmonious music together. In the immediate aftermath of the split, communication between the former partners apparently ceased entirely. According to Natalie, Marsha cut her off completely, a decision that added another layer of pain to an already difficult situation. This lack of communication would prevent any possibility of reconciliation in the short term, while allowing misunderstandings and resentments to fester unchecked. Following Floetry's split, both artists pursued separate paths with varying degrees of success. Marsha Ambrosius' transition to a solo career began with her signing to Dr. Dre's Aftermath Records, a move that seemed to position her for major mainstream success. However, despite this high-profile deal, her debut solo album faced numerous delays and didn't materialize under the Aftermath banner. Eventually, Marsha found her footing as a solo artist, releasing late nights and early mornings in 2011 through J Records. The album debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, validating her decision to pursue a solo path. Her distinctive voice and songwriting abilities translated well to a solo context, allowing her to establish an identity independent of Floetry while maintaining the soulful quality that had first brought her recognition. Natalie Stewart's post-Floetry journey took a different direction. She released 3 solo albums under her Floetist moniker, beginning with Flutic Soul in 2010. These projects maintain the spoken word elements and conscious messaging that had been her contribution to Floetry, though they achieved more modest commercial success than her former partner's work. Natalie also married her longtime partner Nolan Weeks, a relationship she has credited with helping her heal from the pain of Floetry's dissolution. As both artists established their separate careers, the narrative surrounding their split began to take shape in the public eye through interviews and statements. In 2012, Natalie issued a press release that brought their private disagreements into the open. In this statement, she claimed that Marsha had left Floetry after so much joint success and foundation building to join Aftermath Records with no assurance of an album release. More pointedly, Natalie accused Marsha of holding Floetry ransom for her own selfish gains and described her former partner's actions as the perfect example of someone selling out or selling their soul. These strong words indicated just how deeply the professional separation had affected their personal relationship, transforming former friends into adversaries. In subsequent interviews, Natalie elaborated on her perspective, claiming that she wasn't upset about Marsha pursuing a solo career, but rather about the lies that came out of Marsha's mouth following their split. She further alleged that Marsha and her team had attempted to destroy her career and had blacklisted her in the industry. According to Natalie, that this campaign against her was connected to her decision to fire their former manager, who she claimed wanted to ensure she would never work here again, invoking what she called that old American cliche. With Natalie no longer in the picture, Marsha attempted to keep the Floetry brand alive by partnering with comedian and actress Amanda Seales, formerly known as Amanda Diva. This new iteration of Floetry toured together, but the collaboration proved short-lived and controversial. During an appearance on The Breakfast Club, Seales revealed that while she and Marsha didn't have a physical altercation as some had rumored, they definitely experienced conflict. Seales described a situation characterized by dishonesty in terms of what I was walking into, explaining that fans weren't properly informed that she had replaced Natalie. This lack of transparency created uncomfortable situations during performances, with Seales claiming that at one show in Washington, D.C., audience members turned their backs to the stage in protest of her presence. She also accused Marsha of failing to introduce her to fans in a supportive, loving way, and suggested that Marsha was setting her up for failure by changing show formats with little notice. This unsuccessful attempt to continue Floetry with a new member further complicated the legacy of the original duo while creating additional controversy around Marsha's decisions. The negative reception from fans also demonstrated the strong connection many felt to the original partnership, making it clear that Floetry's appeal had been rooted in the specific chemistry between Marsha and Natalie rather than just the concept or music style. In a surprising development, 2014 saw the possibility of reconciliation between the former partners. Natalie reached out to Marsha's manager about potentially reuniting Floetry, leading to a meeting in a London cafe that December. According to accounts of this meeting, the two former friends talked through their issues and reconnected as sisters, notably without discussing the relationship that Marsha had previously described as toxic for Natalie. Following this apparent reconciliation, Marsha invited Natalie to join her on stage during a performance, giving fans their first glimpse of Floetry together in years. The positive reception to this reunion encouraged them to plan a more extensive return, resulting in a reunion tour that launched in 2015. For fans who had mourned the premature end of such a promising musical partnership, this development seemed like a dream come true. However, the reunion quickly encountered significant challenges that would ultimately prove insurmountable. One particularly problematic situation emerged when Natalie hired a new manager who happened to be someone Marsha had previously been involved with romantically. According to Marsha, this individual was someone she had been in a relationship with and had even become pregnant by, though she unfortunately experienced a miscarriage. Marsha claimed that Natalie was aware of this history before hiring the man as her manager, creating an uncomfortable dynamic that Marsha struggled to understand. The situation became even more complex when Natalie reportedly told Marsha that she too had experienced a miscarriage, only to later admit that she had fabricated this claim. This apparent deception, involving such a sensitive and personal matter, further damaged the already fragile trust between the former friends. The strained relationship meant that despite being on tour together, Marsha and Natalie traveled separately, a physical manifestation of the emotional distance between them. While Natalie was reportedly focused on delivering quality performances for their fans, Marsha's attention was at least partially diverted by a new romantic interest. During the tour, Marsha met a roadie named Billups. Attracted by what she described as his swag, she approached him and asked him out on a date. This relationship quickly became serious, with the two becoming inseparable according to Marsha's account. However, this new romance would soon become another source of conflict between the Floetry members. In an interview with The Breakfast Club, Marsha revealed that while spending time with Des, she overheard voice messages from male members of their touring band that contained inappropriate comments about her. These messages allegedly included crude remarks and suggestions that Des should pursue a physical relationship with Marsha, with comments implying that she had been involved with numerous men in Philadelphia. While Marsha claimed she wasn't particularly bothered by these messages, considering them typical locker room talk, due to her background as an athlete, her perspective changed dramatically when she heard Natalie's voice on the recordings. According to Marsha, Natalie was agreeing with the men and encouraging Des to pursue a physical relationship with her. This discovery was a breaking point for Marsha, who felt she could forgive the men but not her supposed friend. The situation deteriorated further when Marsha discovered she was pregnant during the second leg of their reunion tour. She kept this news to herself initially, but took offense when Natalie smoked cigarettes around her, despite Natalie being unaware of the pregnancy. When Marsha finally shared the news, she claims Natalie's response was underwhelming, simply stating, "I kind of figured that out on my own," rather than offering congratulations. By 2016, at the conclusion of the second leg of their tour, Floetry broke up once again. In discussing this final split, Marsha stated bluntly, "We'll never be cool because she'll never be there for me like a friend should be." This definitive statement seemed to close the door on any possibility of future reconciliation, marking the end of a partnership that had once seemed so promising. Despite the personal conflicts that ultimately tore them apart, Floetry's musical legacy remains significant. Their unique blend of spoken word and soulful vocals helped expand the boundaries of neo-soul and R&B, influencing countless artists who followed. Their emphasis on thoughtful lyricism and authentic emotional expression provided a refreshing alternative to more commercially driven approaches, demonstrating that substance and success could coexist in contemporary R&B. Both women have continued their separate musical journeys, with Marsha giving birth to her child with Dez in December 2016 and marrying him in 2017. Natalie divorced Nolan and married drummer Robbie Maddox, also in 2017. When asked about the possibility of another reunion, Natalie told Essence magazine that Floetry had completed its cycle and the group was definitively done. While acknowledging they aren't friends, she still referred to Marsha as her sister, suggesting a complex relationship that transcends simple categorization. The story of Floetry serves as a cautionary tale about how personal relationships can impact creative partnerships, and how success can sometimes reveal or exacerbate underlying tensions rather than resolving them. What began as a friendship built on mutual respect and shared passion ended in disappointment and recrimination, reminding us that even the most harmonious musical collaborations are ultimately human relationships subject to the same complexities and potential for conflict as any other.